Welcome into the conversation on TYT. I am your host, Adrienne Lawrence, and I have a guest today who has that international recognition. You might recognize him from season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race. This is Bob the Drag Queen. Bob.
Woo! How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. How's everything on your end?
All things considered, well, that's the answer this year. All things considered, I'm doing well. This year is one for the books. I mean, I have officially declared 2020 Black History Year.
This year, why? Because of the suffering and oppression. Is that why?
It's because of the progress and the strides that we are making as a Black community this year. We still have a long way to go, but we've achieved so much this year. I'm just so proud of us. I'm so proud of us.
There is, and especially in the midst of a global pandemic, we have managed to make it so that there is this social uprising and significant change. And I know you being a reigning member of the drag queen community, you've been active in that. And what do you think the drag queen community really brings to that conversation for social change?
Well, funny you should ask. There's this movement started in, actually, I think I can say it started in Chicago with the Black queer drag scene. It's called the Black Drag Council in Chicago, and they brought about change in the nightlife community. And it started an uprising across the country in different, in Minneapolis and Los Angeles and Atlanta and New York, where like Black people are demanding, excuse me, I'm so sorry, where Black people are demanding equity and equality across all platforms.
Yes, that's right. And something kind of interesting that went down recently this week, because I know you're from Columbus, Georgia, so you rep in the South. In Asheville, North Carolina, they formally apologized for, the Black residents for slavery, for the participation in it, and they issued reparations. Now they're not handing out checks, but they're handing out change to try to build up, housing practices in largely Black areas and whatnot. So they did something completely unprecedented. From your vantage point and your thought, can you see this kind of becoming a trend with cities giving back to the Black communities that they've essentially stolen from for centuries?
Well, I hope so. It was really weird at the beginning of quarantine because there's been people trying to get reparations for the Black community for years now, but America was like, we just can't afford it. It's not in the budget. We're so sorry. But then all of a sudden, America was like, but we do have the ability to give every single adult $1,200. Not just every adult who filed taxes gets to. So I'm kind of like, so y'all been had the money the whole time. Very interesting. My mom used to always say, white folks act like they have money even when they don't.
And you know it, because they really did pull that, like, I'm gonna get 2 trillion just out of nowhere. To fix the situation. That didn't
trillion out of thin air. Exactly. And then had the audacity to ask Americans to survive for basically 4 months off of $1,200. And they'd be like, why y'all mad?
And we see what's going on now.
We've not eaten a good meal for 4 months. That's why we're mad. And because, we're sitting at home with all of our feelings, all of our emotions, and then social injustices pop up. We're like, it's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. And so let me ask you, if you were in charge of reparations for Black people, what would you give out?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I've been thinking about reparations. I started Googling it because there's a lot of people working on these kind of things. And I think that reparations has to, and this is gonna be where it gets really controversial. There is no equality without the loss of power. So if these people and these people gonna meet here, they have to give something up. They just have to. That's how it works because power is not limitless. There's a limited number of jobs. There's a limited number of money. There's a limited number of housing. There's a limited number of these opportunities. These things are indeed actually limited. So in order for the people who are below to gain something, it has to come from the people who are all the way up here. So for me, it would involve shares in companies, especially these companies like Fruit of the Loom or the NBA or especially a company industries where Black people have been, like rock and roll industries where Black people have been the driving force behind the companies, or if not now that our ancestors were, they need to be definitely paying into it. I think that in terms of the South, there should be a lot more. And also, there people are out there looking at the fact there's actually lots of ways to find untapped money in the United States economy.
And I think that those are excellent points because there is always something there, as you said, kind of all of a sudden there's money that when they claim there was none. And
I mean, here's the point. In Georgia, all students in Georgia get to go to college for free. A lot of people don't know that. Georgia has socialism. Of all places, Georgia has socialism. It's called the Hope Scholarship. If you maintain a B average in high school, you get to go to a state college for 4 years for free. Oh, free. They won't pay for your room or board. They will pay for your tuition, and it's paid for through the Georgia lottery.
Wow. Oh, wow. You blew my mind. I had no idea. And it would be kind of cool if they did that in Cali, but then again, hey, we're doing the best we can right now, especially with COVID-19. And I know you've probably seen a number of people, especially in the Black and brown communities, really not get the healthcare they need and unfortunately are dying because of COVID-19. What do you think needs to change in order for our communities to get the resources that we need?
Well, first of all, I think that people need to really be considering their neighbors. We have a president right now who is really trying to He's just interview where a reporter asked him, "Why are Black people dying?" And then he goes, "White people too." This guy's getting really audacious. I mean, we thought Obama had audacity. This is audacity. You know what I mean? White people too, and more white people. It's like Trump really feels like he's standing up for this underrepresented group of people in America called white people. You know what I mean? I think that we all need to maybe take a step back and realize that there is a chance that we're actually all one in the same thing. Is that a possibility? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think that some people, specifically the conservative right, are coming at it from an angle of fear. Yes, it's an anger of I'll lose this. But it's also weird too, because what Trump is doing is he is playing to the lowest common denominator, and he's playing to people's fear, and he's actually playing on people who are also not winning. It's not like he's doing this to benefit the extremely wealthy, but even disenfranchised poor white people are not coming out on top because of what Trump is doing. And I don't think they can see that.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. That fear mongering. I definitely know. I very much miss the days when the president having audacity meant wearing a tan suit.
Right. And for his wife to wear a sleeveless shirt. This administration is wild. Every time he says something, I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
And it's absolutely incredibly wild how many people continue to co-sign and sign on for it because of the fear mongering, but also because unfortunately playing on racial struggles and this thought that we cannot lose, as you mentioned earlier, power and how important that is. Yes, and so I know we don't have that much time left, and so there was something I really wanted to touch upon, in part because everything's so heavy right now, and you really do bring people smiles. So you've got this kind of comedic performance that came out, released. What is it? Live at Carolinas, and that came out around
Bob the Drag Queen live at Carolinas.
Yes, please tell us about that.
So Bob the Drag Queen live at Carolinas came out in February. It was my second stand-up comedy specialist at Carolinas Comedy Club, which is probably one of the most famous comedy clubs in America, in Times Square, the heart of New York City. And it really discusses me growing up in the South. It's a lot about my mom. It's about my Blackness, my queerness, my family, my mom, and basically my place in the universe. I'm really proud of it. It's honestly one of the funniest things I've ever done. I'm really, really proud.
Oh, that's awesome. And so where can people find it?
You go to iTunes, type in Bob the Drag Queen live at Carolinas.
Yes, because I actually checked on it a little earlier, and you do talk about your mom, and I love that. Even though my mom comes at me for talking about her on Twitter. How does your mom feel about having this stand-up special directed at her?
Well, she thought it was charming. First of all, she's actually in it, and there's a part where she's swearing a lot. And it's weird because she's swearing by asking me not to swear. So she's like, don't say words like this. And then she ends up being in my special saying all the things she told me not to say, which I thought was really funny. But my mom thinks I'm really funny. She's my biggest cheerleader.
Oh, that's really wonderful, and that's so cool. And so what's next for you?
Well, we're going back into season 2 of We're Here. I have a show on HBO called We're Here with Shangela and Eureka O'Hara. And we're going to be going back into filming season 2, hopefully in the winter. We'll see how everything goes. We know that a lot of the country's being re-shut down. So we're gonna see how that goes. And I'm still working from my home, producing content online as well.
Awesome, wonderful. And can you tell us, Bob, where can people find you on social media?
The best place to find me is bobthedragqueen.com. But if you type in Bob the Drag Queen on Twitter or Instagram, you will find me there with my big smiling face.
Ooh, and what a beautiful big smiling face it is. Thank you so much for joining us, Bob. It was great chatting with you.
My pleasure, thank you.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.